She walked into that Miss Universe pageant with a crown-worthy answer, a volcanic gown, and a runway walk so electric that the internet gave it a name, the Lava Walk. The whole world fell in love with Catriona Gray in 2018, and for years after, her story seemed to be writing itself toward a perfect second chapter. A beautiful queen, a talented actor who had adored her for years. A stunning proposal in one of the most breathtaking places on Earth. People who had watched her win the crown were now watching her walk towards something that felt even more meaningful, a life built with someone who chose her. And then, quietly, it unraveled. No dramatic announcement, no explosive interview, just a missing ring, a deleted photo, and a silence so careful that it said everything. By 2026, one of the most loved women in the Philippines, a woman who has represented grace, resilience, and quiet strength on the world stage, is unmarried, newly dating someone she's keeping firmly out of the spotlight. And speaking about heartbreak with a clarity that has stopped people cold. So what really happened, and what does she want the world to know now? Stay with us, because this story is far more beautiful than the headline suggests. Catriona Elisa Magnan Gray was born in Cairns, Queensland, Australia, to a Scottish father, Ian Gray, and a Filipina mother, Normita Ragas Magnan. From the very beginning, she existed between worlds culturally, geographically, emotionally. She was never fully one thing, and somehow that became her greatest gift. She displayed an early flair for performance, winning the Little Miss Philippines pageant in Sydney at just 5 years old, and attended Trinity Anglican School in Cairns, where she was a chorister and jazz band lead singer. Even then, she wasn't just pretty, she was present. She was performing with voice, with intention. Her pageant journey reads like a slow, deliberate climb towards something inevitable. She won Miss World Philippines in 2016 and placed in the top 5 at Miss World that same year. 2 years later, she returned this time for the Miss Universe Philippines crown. She won, and then she went to Bangkok and did something no one who watched it will forget: the lava walk, the Mayan volcano gown. An answer in the final quanda that was so precise, so composed, so thoughtful that it silenced a room full of cynics. She became the 4th Filipina to claim the Miss Universe title, but what made Catriona Gray different wasn't the crown. It was what she did after it. She became an ambassador for the arts and for indigenous handicrafts in the Philippines, and actively worked with organizations like Young Focus Philippines, championing education and community empowerment. A queen who stayed. There are some love stories that feel from the outside like they were written by someone who genuinely wanted things to work out. Catriona and Sam Milby were that kind of story. Sam Milby is a Filipino-American actor who gained fame after participating in the first season of the reality show Pinoy Big Brother. He is charming, musical, and 10 years older than Catriona, which to many fans only added to the romance of it. Here was a man who had lived enough life to know what he was looking at. Their relationship was first made public in 2020. For a couple who had each spent years in the public eye, they moved with rare restraint. They didn't flood social media with declarations. They protected what they had. Quietly but unmistakably, they became one of the Philippines' most beloved couples. Then came February 2023. Milby proposed during a trip to El Nido, Palawan. A paradise proposal for a woman who had stood in the most glamorous rooms in the world and still chosen the quiet beauty of home. The photographs were stunning. The response was overwhelming. This, people said, this is how it's supposed to go. For Catriona, it wasn't just an engagement. It was a confirmation. After everything, the crowns, the cameras, the years of being watched, she was finally stepping into a private future. A future she had chosen, and that had chosen her back. Or so she believed. The cracks didn't announce themselves loudly. They rarely do. Observers began noting in early 2024 that Catriona was no longer wearing her engagement ring in social media posts. Shortly after, she removed photographs of the engagement from her accounts entirely. No explanation, no statement, just the quiet digital erasure of what had been one of the most celebrated moments of her personal life. The internet filled in the blanks as it always does. Speculation ran wild. Rumors circulated, some fair, most not. Catriona's management agency, Cornerstone Entertainment, issued a statement acknowledging that the couple was facing some challenges in their relationship. It was careful language, deliberate language, the kind used when people are trying to protect something that may already be gone. Then came a moment that hit differently than any press release could have. Both Gray and Milby were present at Filipino singer TJ Montarda's concert. They were seated several seats apart, and a video circulated widely online showing Catriona crying on the shoulder of her friend, actress Isabel Ali. It was a raw human moment, and it happened in public against her will. Nearly a year after the split became apparent, Milby confirmed they were no longer engaged. Gray chose to remain silent. She focused on her work. She held it together in the ways that people who've been deeply hurt often do, by staying moving, staying useful, staying visible even when falling apart inside. She would later reflect that navigating that heartbreak publicly was genuinely difficult. She described being truly shattered, but she wasn't ready to say that yet. Not then. More than a year after the breakup became public, Catriona Gray finally spoke. In February 2026, she sat down with broadcaster Karen Davila for a conversation that felt less like a press interview and more like a woman carefully, courageously deciding to reclaim her own narrative. She didn't perform grief, she didn't spin the story, she simply told the truth. She said that Milby had proposed, and then months later he told her he wasn't ready for marriage after all. That was very hurtful for me, she shared. I was blindsided at the time and I really tried to make it work. I was willing to adjust, because when you love someone, you're willing to understand them. But there came a point where her understanding and his uncertainty were no longer compatible. She said that at a certain age, and after everything they had been through together, continued uncertainty felt like an answer in itself. She also spoke directly about what she wants for her future. As a woman, she said she wants a family, wants to be married, and wants to be a mother someday. She was clear. She doesn't want to wait indefinitely for someone to figure out whether she's enough. And then she said something that cut through everything else. She talked about 2 years of therapy, about growing closer to her friends and family in ways she hadn't before, and arriving at a version of herself that she described as the healthiest she has ever been. Not bitter, not broken. Honest, there is something uniquely complicated about being Catriona Gray and going through a public heartbreak. Most people get to grieve privately. Most people get to remove a ring, delete a photo, and process their pain in their own time with their own people. Catriona Gray got a viral video. She got headlines in 3 languages. She got opinions from people who had never met her, projecting their own feelings onto her silence. She has spoken about the double standard that women face, the way society ties a woman's success to her relationship status in a way it rarely applies to men, and how that pressure shapes what women feel they owe the public about their private lives. For a Miss Universe title holder, that pressure is amplified enormously. The crown doesn't just represent beauty. It represents an ideal, and part of that ideal in the public imagination is a love story with a tidy ending. When Catriona's love story refused to cooperate, the world didn't just notice. It commented. Sam Milby, for his part, was careful in how he addressed things publicly. He acknowledged their privacy as a couple and asked for continued respect. He also denied rumors that anyone else had been involved in their split, but for Catriona, the scrutiny was different. She wasn't just a celebrity going through a breakup. She was a symbol of Filipino grace, beauty, and aspiration. The weight of that doesn't disappear when real life gets hard. It just makes everything heavier. She carried it quietly. For a long time, that quiet was the most dignified thing she could do. In 2026, Catriona Gray is 32 years old. She is working, she is building, and she is, by her own description, genuinely happy. After her breakup, she has confirmed she is now quietly dating someone outside the entertainment industry. She hasn't offered a name, she hasn't offered photographs, and she doesn't seem to feel that she owes anyone those details. Asked directly about the status of her love life at a recent fashion event, she said simply, "Love life is for me, Lang. Yeah, I'm happy, I'm doing well." When a reporter mentioned a rumored boyfriend's name, she smiled and said, "I'm happy. That's all I'm gonna say. That's not evasion, that's wisdom." She has a film in the works, a co-designed ready-to-wear collection in the pipeline, and she is working on new music. She walked the runway at a designer fashion show in BGC earlier this year, radiant in a dark blue gown. She is, by every visible measure, exactly where she said she wanted to be, back home to herself. The ring is gone, the plan changed, and she is more herself than she has been in years. So is Catriona Gray still unmarried in 2026? Yes. And it turns out that is not the tragedy the headline implies. It is, in fact, the beginning of something that looks a great deal like the life she actually wanted. She waited for commitment from someone who wasn't ready to give it. She was hurt by that, publicly, painfully. She chose herself when staying would have meant choosing less. And then she did the quiet, unglamorous, essential work of healing, therapy, honesty, time, her people around her. She said it herself. If it's not yet good, she believes it simply means the story isn't finished yet. That's not the answer of someone who is lost. That is the answer of someone who knows exactly who she is and what she's worth. And if that's the secret everyone is talking about, it's not really a secret at all. It's just a woman living her life on her own terms, which is, if you think about it, exactly what a Miss Universe should do. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next on this channel. And tell us in the comments, do you think Catriona Gray made the right call?